Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment. We're going to be speaking with David Drapkin in this segment. He's a licensed clinical social worker. He's joining us to discuss VITAL. Now, VITAL is a holistic, immersive 12-month program launched by Psychedelics Today. It's designed for medical professionals, psychotherapists, and health practitioners incorporating psychedelics into their existing practices. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, David Drapkin. Thank you.
Pleasure being here, Neil. Yeah, lovely to speak to you. Thanks for having me.
Give our listeners a bit of your professional background, if you would, and then let's talk a bit about VITAL's goals.
You got it. So I'm from England, as you can tell. I was trained in social work and started off working in psychiatric hospitals and then specialized in the field of addiction and outpatient rehabilitation. And then I gradually started to have an interest in the world of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, psychedelic medicine, psychedelic research. It has different names for the different associated fields. And a couple of years ago, I realized this is actually groundbreaking. This is getting outcomes far superior to what I'm able to do with my clients using my current protocols and skill set. So I decided, the world of psychedelic therapy is about to become very, very prominent. And I decided to join Psychedelics Today and VITAL is our flagship course. It's a huge deal for us. It's the biggest thing we've ever created, and it is groundbreaking.
It's a 12-month program. Talk about this program. Who is it designed for, and how immersive is it into this emerging field of psychedelics?
Yeah, so VITAL is a 12-month course that is primarily going to be online learning, through Zoom, that kind of learning modality that's going to have weekly lectures, weekly small groups with a tutor kind of really digging into the materials. There's going to be monthly webinars, and there's going to be a 5-day experiential retreat. So that's where people, COVID willing, will meet in person, helping to build a community and actually have non-ordinary states of conscious experiences. So that may be breath work or actually taking ketamine or psilocybin in those countries where that is legal to do so, because we really believe that it's pretty much essential and vital for clinicians and healthcare practitioners that are working with people in these very complex states of non-ordinary states of consciousness, completely different to where you and I are talking right now, Neil. We need some familiarity with that. That could be breath work, it could be meditation, but typically, what we're seeing other practitioners doing is getting the experience with ketamine and MDMA. And so over the course of 12 months, we're expecting to train 100 students. And that's not a lot when you consider that the field of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy within 5 years will need at least 100,000 practitioners trained up. And right now, we're nowhere near that. So for us, we simply had to step into the fold to provide this kind of training, particularly for those students that are not, licensed scientists and clinical healthcare practitioners, for people that are doing more underground work or legacy operators. They might be unlicensed, they might be yoga teachers, body massage therapists. So those kinds of people that are doing the work now and helping people through challenging psychedelic experiences and providing, supportive, holding environments for people going through, the process after a psychedelic experience. We welcome them to learn with us to transform their practice.
Since joining Psychedelics Today, what have you seen as some of the barriers to the field of psychedelics taking off on a larger scale than it has? I mean, you talked about a wide range of health practitioners who qualify for your particular program, not just all the other programs that may be out there into psychedelics. What are some of the concerns that you've heard from people considering this as a therapy?
One of the barriers right now is uncertainty. So no one is sure exactly when or how or what the final protocols will look like when MDMA gets reclassified through the MAPS protocols, probably next year. And then the year after that, 2024, psilocybin through the Compass Pathways trials, assuming it goes through. So we don't yet know what are the protocols going to be, kind of prerequisite trainings and licenses, and what kind of criteria they need to have satisfied to be in that holding space with a client going through psychedelic experiences. So that uncertainty, will be clarified in the next few years. And I think the other big kind of roadblock right now is stigma. is from the war of drugs and prohibition since the 70s. There's a lot of misinformation out there around psychedelics and their addictive potential or overdose potential or, potential to make someone go crazy. There are definitely risk factors. I'm not trying to ever say that there's no risk factors and it's fun and easy. The whole purpose of these is that they are medicines that are very challenging and they help people process very traumatic experiences that normal therapy and psychiatric medication simply doesn't do. It's not designed to do that. Whereas with psychedelics combined with psychotherapy in a clinically supportive setting really has phenomenal outcomes. So overcoming the stigma, public education, like on radio shows and in magazines and journals, will really help to turn the tide. And I think for me that's the big one that's going to enable those millions of people with treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, and addiction be able to talk to their doctors and counselors, therapists about this new therapy that's coming in the next year or two.
You did mention a bit of the vital curriculum made up of the modules. You mentioned retreat options. Is this curriculum available for anyone and everyone who wants to participate? Are there certain communities that maybe you have scholarships or something like that for, depending on the community?
Yeah, so this course is a closed group of 100 students to begin with. We do have quite a few other courses, I think 10 or 11, on our website, psychedeliceducationcenter.com. And most of those are pre-recorded, so independent learners can go onto that website and choose their course and just learn it at their pace, take as long as they want and have access for life to the materials. Regarding the students that we'll be welcoming onto this vital cohort, we have set aside 20% of those students to receive a tuition scholarship through a diversity fund that we've set up through one of our partners called the Holos Foundation. So we're going to be collecting donations and giving at least $100,000 to students that meet criteria. For example, BIPOC students, LGBTQ students, maybe veterans, and therapists, clinicians working with marginalized communities or geographically underserved communities. So people that including them on our training will maximize the impact in the real world on the ground in the communities that need it the most. And it's really important that the people that are helping clients and patients through these psychedelic experiences, that those people can relate to that clinician in the room with them, that they understand who they are. And that's why part of our course is really built around cultural competence and diversity training, both for me and my team and the teachers, as well as the students. They're going to have 4 sessions throughout the course of the year with a team of specialist trainers in that area, just to really understand how to relate to the people in that room using cultural competence and kind of diversity skills.
Well, give us a website where our listeners can learn more about Psychedelics Today. And you mentioned another website earlier in our conversation. Could you give us that one again?
Yeah, there's 3 websites now. I don't mean to be greedy here, but the one I mentioned before is our general education library, and that's psychedeliceducationcenter.com. Our main website is psychedelicstoday.com. That's got our podcast on it and blogs and other materials. We've also got the main website for this vital course. So that is vitalpsychedelictraining.com. And maybe I'll throw in a 4th one if that's okay.
Absolutely.
If anyone does want to make a donation, and it could be $10 or $100 or $1,000 for that diversity fund, it's a tax-deductible donation, and that website is Holos, HOLOS, found, FOUND.org/PT -donate. So it's a long one. You can always reach out to us at vital@psychedelicstoday.com if you have any questions.
I appreciate you taking the time with us this morning here on Health Professional Radio. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Neil. Real pleasure. Take care.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with David Drapkin. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Health Professional Radio.